If you travel for work, you're definitely going to want to watch this entire video. So, for some of you that don't know or never realized this, is I've not always done fitness as a career. 7, 8 years ago, and right after college, I worked in finance. I worked as a consultant for one of the world's largest asset managers and lived and worked in Chicago. But I covered the Mid East territory: Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, part of Indiana, a little sliver of Michigan. And basically every week I was traveling. So my routine was leave Monday mid morning, travel all over that territory, rent a car, and then come back Friday afternoon typically, and then spend the weekend back in Chicago. So, um, and often that time when I was traveling, I was entertaining clients. I'd have breakfast, lunch, dinners, happy hours. And then when I didn't have that, I'd have golf outings, ball games, events, seminars, speaking engagements. It was a jam packed calendar when I would travel. And I struggled for the first like year, 2 years. And it was kind of the first time in my life where I gained a little bit of weight. My health and fitness took a nosedive. I felt not my best. My energy, my focus, my productivity were not where it typically is or up to my standard. And the big problem was, is I was trying to still do what I had done for so many years, like, eat 6, 7 small meals a day, like thought I still had to like spend, 2 hours in the gym training. And because I couldn't do those things or trained and, had my nutrition dialed in like I was used to, I was such a routine person. The wheels kind of fell off for like a year and a half, where I just got to a point I'm like, this can't continue. This is like hurting my productivity and focus and having a negative impact on my career. So I had to kind of throw out conventional wisdom, the conventional advice, and try to find something that would be simple and straightforward and to fit into the lifestyle that I was living with my career and traveling as much as I did. So in this video, I want to lay out exactly what I did, and you can take this and implement some of it into your own life as well. So basically, for breakfast, I'd have a breakfast meeting every day with like 2 or 3 clients. And for breakfast, I would not have carbs. I would typically just get eggs or an omelet, and then have coffee and water. And the reason being is because if I had pancakes or even toast or something, carbs tend to make me personally, maybe they do for you as well, hungrier. Like if I had that, I'd want to have like a huge lunch. But what I realized, if I could just stick to something that was pretty much predominantly protein based, just having some eggs or an omelet with no carbs, I felt better, and it kept my calories pretty low. And then I just drank plain black coffee as well. So that's what I did for breakfast. For lunch, I'd always have a salad. No matter where we went, every place, every restaurant you go to has a salad, right? So I'd have like a Caesar salad, light on the dressing, add chicken, add something protein in, or whatever. And I just, again, felt like not having a big lunch, because I still had, during lunchtime, 11, noon, 1 o'clock, I still had like 6, 7, 8 hours left of my day. I probably had a happy hour. I probably had dinner, maybe after dinner drinks or a seminar. And then I had to get back to the hotel and do expense reports for that day. Cause what I found is if you put those off for a couple of days, it's hard to like remember like, oh, who was all there? What did you spend? And you had to like literally keep track of all that for the firm, and then submit it once you got back. So for lunch, I'd have a salad. And then when I would go to happy hours, if we had a happy hour, I'd meet a couple clients at like 3, 4 o'clock. I'd have a light beer. This was back, I did drink when I was in the corporate world. And also, if you don't know, I haven't had alcohol in almost 2 years at this point. And I made some videos on that. But I did drink when I was working in finance. And what I would do is, if we were going to a happy hour where there's like 6, 7 clients and we're all gathered around, chatting or whatever, I would just order a light beer and make sure it's in a bottle, as opposed to having a cocktail or having a draft beer. And the reason being is because most bottles of beer, Coors Light, Bud Light, whatever, Corona wouldn't be, but you can't see how much is left, right? So like I would literally just get a Coors Light. You can't see how much beer's in it. I would just nurse it the entire like hour, 2 hour happy hour. and I'd have one, maybe rare occasions I'd have two, but nobody could like see it, right? No one's like really paying that close of attention. But if you're sitting there with a glass or a draft beer, people could see that you're empty. If you're drinking an old fashioned or cocktail or whiskey neat, they could see that it was empty, right? I didn't want to be this like weird guy, like, no, I'm done. So I would just get a light beer, 80, 100 calories, Michelob Ultra, whatever, in a bottle, and I would just nurse that the entire time, and that really helped me, not consume a lot of alcohol, and then also keep calories low. And then when I did go out for dinner, which was most nights as well, I'd usually we go to steakhouses, like that was our go-to, put it on the corporate card. And one couple of rules that I had is I would have no appetizers to save calories. I would order them for clients and say, hey, help yourself. Be like, nah, that's fine. I ate, earlier. I'm not super hungry. I'm just going to eat my meal, but hey, you guys go ahead. Like, what do you guys want? And I would order appetizers for our clients. And then I'd often just get a steak and potato. And again, at dinner, I would make sure I got a water, and then I would do typically the same thing. I'd order a light beer, nurse it, wouldn't get another one. And again, so in one day I'd maybe have, two drinks. Right. And then, that was pretty much it. And those were the changes that I made, because when I first started in this role, I'm like, oh, I got to entertain clients. I'd go out to breakfast and I would see clients getting, pancakes, and they're like, oh, you got to try the pancakes here. And I'd like give in, and I'd eat those, and I'd feel like crap. And I would go out to lunch, and we go to like a barbecue place, and I would get, this and that. And then for dinner, it's like, oh, you got to get the calamari. You got to try this appetizer. Then we'd get desserts. So I just kind of put these rules. I would never get dessert, by the way, for dinner. I would order it for people, but I'd be like, no, I'm full from this steak. The steak was so darn good. And once I made those changes, just they seem simple in nature, but putting a couple of rules in place while traveling, like I got in phenomenal. Like I was ripped again. So that was the nutrition. And then here's kind of how I did the training is I would stay at Marriott's or Hilton's, and I couldn't get a traditional, like I, kind of always trained like a bodybuilder. I liked, machines and going to gyms. My normal gym back in Chicago where it had full equipment, it had different, machines just for chest, right? Well, if you stay at a Marriott or Hilton or most hotels, they don't have full-fledged gyms oftentimes. Now, once I went to different places multiple times, I did put a little research in to find hotels that had, the best gyms. I would look into that, but still at the end of the day, it's not like the gym I was going to in Chicago where it had everything and I could get, the type of workouts in that I wanted. But I had the mindset for like a year, and why I struggled is like, well, it's not even worth working out. Like I can't do my normal workouts. So when I'm on the road, I'm not going to work out. And that was not a good idea. So what I did is I wake up super early. Always have been, a morning person, especially when I started working in the corporate world. I'd go to the gym and I would do full body workouts because again, like it's, going to a gym where they just have, because here's what a most Marriott Hilton gym looks like. If you don't know, you got a treadmill, a couple treadmills, you got an elliptical, you got a bench, you got a yoga mat, you got dumbbells up to 25, maybe if you're lucky, 30 pounds. Right? You're pretty much limited on what you can do, especially if you like to lift. So I would just always do total body workouts. Like I would lift 2, 3, 4 times during the week, maybe take one day off, but I would always do cardio. I would do abs, and then I'd work on mobility because spending so much time in a rental car driving all over Timbuktu and then spending so much time sitting in an airplane and such, even though it was quick flights, I found myself like getting super stiff. My flexibility, my mobility wasn't great. So I always made sure to spend time doing that. So I would work out for like an hour, lift for an hour, do an hour on the cart or on the treadmill or elliptical. And I would get, good workouts in. Progress over perfection. Is this how I wanted to train? No, but this was my lifestyle. This was my situation. So I really had no choice. And then what I did is I maximized my time back in Chicago. So when I would get back Friday afternoon, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, whatever, I would hang out Friday night, and then Saturday, Sunday, Mondays, I would go to the gym that I was a member at right near my place downtown Chicago and get like my good training sessions in. So I would hit like all three major, my split would be like chest and back, legs, and then, arms and shoulders to make sure for each body part I was getting and training how I really, really wanted with all the equipment and not feeling like rushed because I had meetings and stuff. So I really took advantage of my my weekends, and got my, hour and a half, 2 hour workouts in like I normally like, but I couldn't do when I was traveling on the road. So that's what I did. That's like, seriously, I was struggling for a year and a half. I gained some weight. I was like fat in the face. I think I was at like 210, 215. I'm normally like 190 to 200. I wasn't good. And I'm like, this can't continue. I feel like crap. I'm performing like crap. I don't, I'm not as confident taking my shirt off at the pool at my place. And I'm like, this is no bueno. I'm going to have to make some changes. And I just sat back and think, okay, based on this lifestyle, entertaining clients, traveling, spending time, at Marriott's and at airports, how can I make this work? Because I'm not going to make excuses. I should still be in great shape. And then those changes that I made are the ones that I covered with you here on this call. And that's what helped me. So my point is, if you travel, maybe you're not traveling as often as I have, but maybe like even once a month you're traveling, or once a quarter you're gone somewhere for a week. Maybe you can take a couple things away from this that might work for you. And the final thing that I will say is, I got 2 promotions in 4 years at the firm that I was working for. And I owe a lot of that to taking care of myself. I saw others gain a bunch of weight, drink way too much, eat crappy food, and it hurt their performance. Like, you can't perform at your best when you feel like crap and you're not confident. And because I made that adjustment my last year and a half, 2 years at the firm, I got promoted because I was outperforming people. We had like 50 individuals in my area of the firm, and I was the highest compensated. And I do truly feel like I wasn't smarter. I wasn't, more intelligent or anything. I didn't have anything special going for me. A lot of, actually, I would say, a lot of the guys and gals that I was working with probably went to more prestigious schools than I did. A lot of them went to big Ten schools like Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana. Had some that even went to prestigious schools on the East Coast. We had a couple Ivy League guys, and I went to the University of Northern Iowa, like not Harvard, not even Harvard of the Midwest. And I was making more and earning more. And I really think it was because I took care of my health and fitness, and I made it a priority. And I made, some of these lifestyle adjustments where other people were burned out, stressed out, and I wasn't. So I was working hard. I didn't, show up hungover on Mondays and like had to do expense reports and stuff. Like, I was dialed in, and I owe that to a lot of my success in the corporate world. And it also, everything happens for a reason too, because what happened was a lot of my like peers and friends and even some mentors in the firm were like, how are you staying in such good shape? Like, you travel all the time like this, like, and I would kind of lay out like, hey, here's what worked for me, exactly what I'm sharing with you. And that kind of lit a spark, like, gosh, then people that were around me kind of started improving and implementing some things and tricks and tips that I had. And, here we are now 8-9 years later, and we've coached over 3,000 busy professional women, and we've implemented for a lot of them that travel and spend a lot of time on the road, some of the similar things that I've just shared with you. So hopefully this was helpful. I know it was a little bit longer, but I wanted to walk through it A to Z. And hopefully it was helpful. We'll see you on the next one.